Normally, in addition to the elite profiles, I only really do one piece a day, just talking about a topic as it pertains to sports and what so be it. I'd say in this time right now, it's Monday, June 1st, 2020. I'm James Sims here in this quarantine. Can we admit that Colin Kaepernick was right? I mean, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee after asking either a serving military man or a veteran what's the most peaceful way to just protest against injustice in America, and he was told, "Oh, taking a knee, that's the most respectful thing. You're not getting in anyone's way. You're pretty much protesting on your own. And if people choose to make a big deal of it, they'll make a big deal of it. But at the end of the day, that's what a protest is. It brings light to it brings light to the injustices and what you see is what's wrong with society right now. That's what the point of a protest is. And people back then were saying it's not the right way to protest, but that's the whole point of protesting and civil disobedience is going against the norm, even if you know that it's right. And that's what he did. He kneeled for the national anthem like 2 or 3 years ago, and he still hasn't played in the NFL now. Even after everything that's happened, like every single league has issued a statement, players, black and non-black players, and people around the league in high positions and in a different, or even around the world, but especially when it relates to sports, because I'm talking about Colin Kaepernick. They're willing to put out these statements saying that they stand with the black community, and they'll aim to do anything to make this situation better for African American players, especially their players, when they still haven't let Colin Kaepernick play or suit up for a team. No one has signed Colin Kaepernick in years. That's the problem. I think I'm not really going to get super deep into this, but considering Colin Kaepernick knelt, and we see the video of a white officer kneeling on a black man's neck for 9 minutes, and then he would go on and die, and there's a possibility that the police officer might get acquitted, along with the other 4 officers that were there, and kind of just let that happen. And then people loot, and people get more mad at the looting than the actual killing itself. I mean, can't we just look back and say Colin Kaepernick was right for protesting what he saw was right? And he didn't get a chance to play in the league ever again. I mean, they gave him they gave him a tryout, and they just lowballed him, and they never really gave him a chance. And Colin Kaepernick never got a chance to play in the NFL again, even though he didn't have to protest. He didn't have to. He did what he thought was right in that instance, and people still called him like a terrorist. People are saying he's anti-America. No, he's pointing out the injustice. He's pointing out the wrongs in our society, which is what a protest is. It's just, it's a bit aggravating. I mean, at the end of the day, I hope people can come away from this and try to learn from their past experiences and try to be better people. But at the end of the day, I can't go in people's minds and tell me what they're thinking. But I really hope that a lot of these people that are standing and protesting with with African Americans in the street and non-African Americans that are still dealing with police brutality, because that's what the protest is for, which is what Colin Kaepernick was protesting for as well. I really hope they keep that same energy for when Colin Kaepernick gets signed, or when it comes to Colin Kaepernick. As the NFL, I think it's very hypocritical to put a statement like they did yesterday, but it's the best thing they could have done, and they still can't get Colin Kaepernick a job, which is what I find very infuriating. And I guess eventually he'll get a job, hopefully before the season starts, but if he doesn't, I'm going to be very, very disappointed in the league. But I'm not going to go deep into that. I'll probably pick it up a different time, but all I'm saying is Cap was right. Plain and simple. Like, he was right. And we're still seeing what he was saying years ago today, and people just choose to ignore it. And Nike put a stop. Nike made people aware that. They said stop participating in it, and they still continue to stand by Kaepernick. I like what Nike's doing about this, and I appreciate that the NFL put a statement out for that. But you can't put that statement out and still not give Colin Kaepernick a job for literally protesting what the NFL made a statement about earlier. So that's my whole thing. Just give Kaepernick a job. NFL. Stop putting statements out like that if you really truly don't mean it. But other than that, I appreciate you for listening to this tiny little tidbit. I am a little mad, and I would get deep into the George Floyd murders, and I really hope all is well with him and his family and everyone who's been affected with just by his death and by the protesting and the rioting, and I totally get it. I stand with the rioters 100%. I understand. But for this, I'm talking about Cap, and there's no way Colin Kaepernick should not have a job by the end of this quarantine. Thanks once again, and I'm just going to sign off by saying peace.